You know, when we think of the Christmas story, we picture shepherds, angels, a peaceful manger. But hidden inside that familiar narrative is an absolutely terrifying story. It's a tale of a paranoid king and a brutal mass murder. So today, we're going to dig into that story, the Massacre of the Innocents. I mean, just listen to that. That is the chilling account, right from the Gospel of Matthew. It's a moment of pure horror that just shatters that peaceful nativity scene we all have in our heads. We're talking about a desperate king taking these unbelievable steps to wipe out a threat to his power. And that's the big question for us today, isn't it? How did a story this dark get woven into the fabric of Christmas? Was this a real historical event? Or is there something else going on here? Something deeper inside the text? Well, to figure it out, we've got to peel back the layers of history, theology, and some ancient storytelling. So, let's get started. Alright, first things first, we need to look at exactly what the story says, because every little detail here is going to be a clue in our investigation. This is the foundation for everything that follows. So the story plays out like a political thriller, right? You've got these wise men, the Magi, who show up looking for a newborn king. This, of course, puts the local ruler, the famously paranoid King Herod, on edge. He tries to trick them into revealing the child's location, but they slip away. So Herod, in a fit of rage, orders his soldiers to kill every single baby boy in and around Bethlehem. But, and this is our first huge clue, this entire shocking story is found only in the Gospel of Matthew, not in Luke, not in Mark, not in John, nowhere else. So, who was this guy really? To figure out if this story is even plausible, we've got to build a profile of our main suspect, King Herod the Great. I mean, was he the kind of guy who would do something this monstrous? First off, Herod wasn't some all-powerful emperor. He was what's known as a client king. Think of it like this. He was the regional manager for the Roman Empire. He had to keep his own people happy, or at least under control, while constantly making sure his bosses back in Rome were pleased. It was a high-wire act that, you can imagine, would make anyone incredibly paranoid. And his career was, wow, long and totally wild. He climbed the political ladder, survived civil wars by picking the winning side, and somehow managed to hold on to his throne for almost 40 years. The man was a master political survivor, no doubt about it. But his entire reign was built on a foundation of pure, ruthless ambition. And this really gets to the core of who Herod was. It's like he was two different people. On one hand, you have Herod the Builder, an absolute genius who rebuilt the Jerusalem temple into one of the wonders of the ancient world. But on the other hand, you have Herod the Butcher, a tyrant who was so suspicious he executed his own wife and 3 of his own sons. Yeah, his cruelty was so legendary, it became a punchline in the emperor's court. This is a dark joke from Augustus himself. See, as a Jew, Herod wouldn't eat pork, so his pigs were safe. His sons, not so much. That tells you everything you need to know about his reputation. Okay, so the verdict isn't Herod was absolutely ruthless enough to do something like this. The personality profile fits perfectly. But now for the big question. Is there any actual physical evidence that this massacre ever happened? Let's check the historical record. Now, when you're talking about this period of history, there is one name that stands above all the rest. Flavius Josephus. He was a first-century Jewish historian, and his writings are, without a doubt, our single best window into the life and times of King Herod. And let me tell you, Josephus did not pull his punches. He gives us all the gory details of Herod's reign. The conspiracies, the political backstabbing, the executions of his own wife and kids. He was clearly not trying to make the king look good. And this is the smoking gun. For all the terrible things Josephus tells us Herod did, he never once mentions an order to slaughter the babies of Bethlehem. Not a single word. That silenze, coming from our #1 source, is absolutely deafening. And it's not just Josephus, it's a total chorus of silence. No other historian from that time. Not the Jewish writers, not the Roman writers. Nobody says anything about it. The story just stands completely on its own with zero historical backup. And that means we probably need to look for a totally different kind of explanation. So, this is the big pivot in our investigation. If the historical evidence just isn't there, Then what in the world was the author of Matthew trying to do? Why would you invent such a horrific story and stick it right at the beginning of Jesus' life? Well, the answer, it turns out, isn't about reporting history. It's about making a theological point. See, Matthew is building this incredibly powerful argument about who Jesus is by intentionally mirroring one of the most famous stories in the entire Hebrew Bible. And this is the aha moment. Just look at these parallels side by side. You've got a wicked tyrant, a decree to murder baby boys, and a divinely guided escape. Sound familiar? It's the story of Moses in Egypt. Matthew is deliberately casting Herod as a new pharaoh, which in turn presents Jesus as a new and even greater Moses. So, you see, Matthew isn't trying to be a historian here. He's doing theology, or what scholars call Christology. He's using these patterns from the Old Testament, patterns his Jewish audience would have known by heart, to answer the biggest question of all: who is Jesus? And his answer is, he is the new Moses, the ultimate rescuer for his people. Okay? So, let's wrap this all up. Let's bring our investigation to a close and figure out how we should think about this incredibly powerful and haunting story. And here's why this story works so well and why it's so believable. It felt true because Herod really was that bad. He was such a monster in real life that a story about him slaughtering babies seemed totally in character. His very real brutality created the perfect, plausible backdrop for the theological point Matthew is trying to make. Now, it's really important we don't judge this by our modern standards of journalism. In the ancient world, it was common for biographers to use symbolic stories to reveal the true nature or destiny of their hero. Matthew wasn't being dishonest. He was using a well-known literary tool of his day to make a profound statement. So, let's just sum up what we found. The massacre of the innocents almost certainly didn't happen as a historical event. But King Herod was a genuinely brutal guy, which made the story feel real. The author of Matthew crafted this whole narrative to draw a powerful parallel between Jesus and Moses. So its real power doesn't come from being historically true, but from its deep symbolic meaning. And that kind of leaves us with a final big question to chew on. Ancient people often thought about truth in ways that went way beyond just literal historical facts, which makes you wonder, does a story have to be history to be true?